Good evening, classmates. Good evening, sir. So we are the last reporters, and me and Casey Nicole Robles will report the school environment. But before that, I am going to present the objectives, our objectives. So first objective, pinch out the different components of school learning environment. Analyze how the school learning environment affects learning. Discuss how the physical learning environment should be structured and maintained for conducive learning. Discuss the benefits and identify good practices in maintaining a student-centered learning environment. Identify safety and precautionary measures within the school premises. And the last objective is discuss how to create and maintain a child-friendly environment. So these are our objectives for today. So the school environment. A school environment is broadly characterized by its facilities, classroom, school-based health supports, and disciplinary policies and practices. It sets the stage for the external factors that affect students. So school environment consists of facilities for the improvement of the students, for the betterment of the students. So one of it is the classrooms, in which it is much very important that the school has these classrooms for their learning, which it is very important for the learners to have a good and a convenient classroom where they can learn from they can learn different ideas and information. Then is school-based health supports, which it is essential for the learners to have supports, especially for their health, because health is a very crucial in students' learning. So this health can affect the students' learning. Okay, if ang student is really siya healthy, then it can affect his or her learnings. So it is much very important that there are um, staff that will manage or that will help the students to have this healthy lifestyle. Then, for the disciplinary policies and practices, this the rules and regulations set by the school for the students to follow and to become more organized and to be better in every aspects as a learner, since these policies and practices are being implemented by the schools to make the learners and other staffs more kabitang maging maayo sila sa ilaang mga pangbuhaton. They like mga learners. Like here in St. Vincent College, the school implemented policies and regulations so that the learners have this kanabitang discipline sa ilaang kaugalingon. Then the next one is, what kind of school environments optimize the way students learn, teach, and communities interact? So schools that take a whole child approach to education are conscious of the intersection between physical space and the cognitive, social, and emotional development of students rather than focusing on one element in isolation. The learning environments we create, the physical along with the school climate, can either help or hinder learning, development, teaching, and collaboration. So schools manifest their way of learning through proper interaction and relationship between students to teachers, students to students, teachers to teachers. Moreover, the cognitive, social, and emotional enhances their learning through collaborative learning that teachers presented throughout the class, where in fact that the teachers are there to enhance the students ability to become more excellent in their works. The environment that the school reinforce can either help or hinder students learning. So it is very important to make a good environment in order for the learners to learn effectively. So it is much very important to create a good atmosphere, to create a good environment para kanang better individuals or better learners ang atong ma-produce ani nga particular school. Like diri sa Vincent, di ba? So ni ang environment is very much kanang it is good in which they can provide learners to be more competitive enough, globally competitive enough. So that is one way of how the St. Vincent's College Incorporated create a good environment that can help the learners. So Winston Churchill was onto something when he said, "We shape our buildings. Thereafter, they shape us." How are schools shaping our students' learning experiences? Social, emotional, and cognitive development, behavior and readiness for college, careers, and citizenship. What do our schools say about our values and views of learning, teaching children, educators, and the role of the community in schools? So by setting this up good environment in the school can shape our learners. So according to Winston Churchill, we shape our buildings. Therefore, they shape us, which means that the schools molds us in the way of how we practice the culture reinforced in the school. Just like for example, di ba? Kung unsa ang imong environment, muupod ang ma-adapt sa learners. Like kasagaran pag moingon nga unsa ni siya gikan nga school. Gikan din ni siya sa SBC. Ay maayo ni siya mukuan. Maayo siya mo communicate. So it really affects kung unsa ang atong environment sa that surrounds us as a learners. It will affect us and it will shape us how we act as an individual or as a learner. Diba? So it is really much important how we shape our environment, especially in school. Because shaping a good environment for school can make the learners more kanang bitaw ready sila anytime, ready sila for their after college, after kanang mo graduate na sila, so ready sila sa ilang profession. It's because the school molded them to become kanang competent enough nga kabalo jud sila. Kabalo sila sa ilang buhaton o sa ila ang ability. It's because the teachers together with the other staffs in this particular school molded them, enhances their ability to become better learners. In general, For students to achieve academic success, they must attend and be engaged in school. And social environment can influence both attendance and engagement. So, students' performance can be determined or be influenced their attendance and engaged inside and outside the class, outside the class. Not just how the learners interact, how the students communicate with other people inside the school, but it is how the students or the learners interact, communicate with other people outside the school. So school discipline policies that emphasize relational or restorative as opposed to punitive justice and are considered clear, fair, and consistently enforced by students are related to higher student attendance rates and levels of engagement. Relational responses to negative behavior are sensitive, individualized, and emphasize character strengths as a means of preventing future misbehavior. A common practice within school with a positive climate. So these rules and regulations set by the school must practice by the students because through that there is an effectiveness of reinforcing the school. So, di ba, kanang pag-adapt og katong mga negative cultures sa school is not is very crucial kay it is kanang bitaw i-change ang negative culture into positive culture. That is why gibutang diri nga sensitive kaayo ang kanang mga negative behavior. It's because the school wants the learners to become more to become better as individual. Nga if naa sila yung mga negative behavior throughout the marabitog kumbaga movements sa school kay ma-change ang student. That negative behavior into positive behavior. So that is why the positive climate or this positive culture must adapt by the students to have a to gain good relationship to your to other students and to the staff as well or to the teachers. Such responses rely upon staff members' positive relationship with students to understand the current situation and be positioned as a trusted mentor in the students' eyes. So, as a teacher, it our their roles is to monitor their students, to give importance to their students. This means that teachers or must create a positive or a good relationship towards his or her students, so that as a teacher we can be able or they can be able to know the different problems that their learners are facing. So because and we can monitor our students progress. So as a teacher dili lang kay we are going to teach them how to use this kind of stuff and other things, but also we need to monitor them. If maybe this certain student has this problem or mga unsa na problema, so as a teacher dapat jud nato silang i-monitor and so that we can understand them nga unsa ila what are those things they need and what are those things that they need to improve. So it is our role as a teacher. Next is an ideal school environment embraces the idea that all students can learn. Yes, it is very true that all students can learn. Kind of an ideal school environment, which means that all students who enrolled in that certain school, they can learn easily. It's because they have this a convenient environment where they can adapt more easily. They can learn more. They can learn effectively because of their environment, because of the positive climate that surrounds them. So an ideal school environment works to build safe learning spaces for students. An ideal school environment attracts teachers who are knowledgeable, care about student learning, and adapt their instruction for meet the needs of their learners. So part of this ideal school environment are the teachers who are knowledgeable enough, who will give importance or care to their learners, not just mutudlo lang sila kay it is part of their murag kumbaga trabaho of their job, but part sa ideal school environment are those teachers na mo care sa ilang students nga ila just what like I said earlier nga paminawon jud nila, they are going to monitor their students, what are what are the students problems, unsay mga problema sa estudyante, unsay kinahanglan, what are the needs of these students, diba? So that the teachers and the students will create a good relationship throughout throughout the institution or throughout the school. Oh, mo na siya ang kanang maka-give o positive climate, isa ang teacher-students relationship. Then, it was found that the school environment of sample school could be classified into 4 types. So the first one is the bottom level self-managing, top level self-managing, media core level self-managing, and core level self-managing school. So take note of that the school environment of sample school classified into four types or rather. So those are bottom levels of managing, top levels of managing, media core levels of managing, for poor levels of managing skills. So that's it for today. And my co-reporter will take over and she will report her part also about the school environment.
So, good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. So, I am the second reporter. My name is Casey Nicole Robles, and this serves as the continuation to what Ms. Rio Rose Santiago had discussed. So, now let us proceed. So, a school environment is broadly characterized by its facilities, classroom, school-based health supports, disciplinary policies and practices. So these are very important rather, since dili man matawag ang school environment as a whole if one of these mawala. So they are somehow interconnected or interrelated with each other. So somehow they help for the betterment of the environment itself and for the students' benefit also. So it sets the stage for the external factors that affect students. So there are 5 aspects affect the students. So the first one is the school-wide climate. So it means that the school should have a positive atmosphere. It refers to the atmosphere, the climate of the school. If it is friendly environment, no, for other school, sila child-friendly environment, child-friendly school. So this is very important for the student. Another one is the practical teaching and learning. So the practical teaching and learning process at some point implicates students in observing or manipulating real subjects and material. So this is very important since um, practical work, practical teaching and learning motivates self-learning. So practical task familiarizes pupils or students with a variation of tools and device that they will be assigned to use. Next would be the community partnership. So this is very important also since a school community cannot stand on its own. So it needs a collaboration with other school. So not just for the school, but other collaboration with the community. Um, yes, the community, the parents, other schools, or the parents and the students as well. So it is relevant, it is essential since we can communicate to others, we can be able to gain another idea or strategies from other that we can apply in our institution or the school. So next would be the prosocial student culture and strategies. So here in our school we have our own culture and strategies that we apply up until today. And lastly would be the aggressive student culture. I think this particular phrase refers to the behavior of the student. So you can barely determine the student's attitude or behavior. So mura kag maka-question nga who are the parents of this particular student because of his or her attitude. So some aspects are divided into sub-aspects that allow the different areas of this aspect. So next, a positive school environment is defined as a school having appropriate facilities, well-managed classrooms, available school-based health supports, and a clear, fair disciplinary policy. So there are many hallmarks of the academic, disciplinary, and physical environment of school with a positive climate. So it is very important to have a positive school environment for the benefit of the teachers, the students as well. So of course, kabalo man jud ta nga an institution wala gyud perfect institution or school, but we have to pursue, we have to work for it to gain or to attain a positive school environment for the student, for them to feel safety, they are somehow motivated, they can use a lot of tools, equipment, and of course the management of the teacher or the institution as a whole. So a positive learning environment is one of the most critical components on a base health education classroom, of a skills-based health education classroom. A positive learning is created when you value participatory teaching and learning, when there is a trust and rapport students and between yourself and students. So to establish trust that leads to true participation and engagement in learning, you first need to set the stage by establishing a learning environment in which all students feel valued, safe, and supported. So as what I've mentioned a while ago, that it is very essential to create or to make a positive learning environment for the student, especially when they are feel valued to their own ideas, to their opinions, safetyness, that is very important also, and supported by the teacher. If they cannot do a particular task, they are going, the students, no, the teacher themselves can support if necessary for the student. So let's further define the characteristics found in a positive learning environment. So these are the characteristics that you can found in a positive learning environment. So the first one, students feel physically and emotionally safe. So they see the classroom as a place where they can be themselves and express themselves and their ideas without judgment. Actually, this is somehow, can create an impact to the student, because there are some teachers who cannot, you know, they didn't value their students, especially their physical appearance, and most especially the emotional state of the student. So in that particular case, if undervalued kayo ang usa ka estudyante, so he or she will feel, murag bitaw burden to him or herself. So of course, as teachers, they should help these students to, ipagawas gyud nilang unique way of when it comes to learning, that they can express themselves, they can feel that they can, they are valued in that particular school or institution, they can express themselves without the judgment of others. So that is very important, no? Self-confidence, we are molding the institution will mold the confidence of these students. So of course, we have to, ang atong product ba sa student is to, to face the reality or the real world, where they can express themselves, they can give their opinions, and especially share their ideas and experiences. So next would be the students know that they are valued and respected regardless of other factors such as ability. So of course, we are living in a diverse community where all of us have our individual ability, our own capacity to learn. So all of us have our own talents. Like natay kaugalingon ba nga how to understand, how to, like we are good at this particular field and others good at that particular other field. So we are different in our own ways. Next would be the gender. So we should treat these students equally. Of course, their sexuality, what is their perspective or reference nila. If there are feminine, if there are masculine, of course, the race. This is very important. Also, the ethnicity, where they came from, or the religion. So, especially when you are, of course, you are a teacher, and then dili mo parehag religion sa imo ang estudyante. So, in that particular case, there is a respect between your student and to yourself also. Next, students have ownership and input to class structure expectation. So this can range from creating spaces, specifically for students used to having a class discussion to establish norms and expectations. So of course, inside the classroom, there is a goal or objective. So you have to set a standard or expectation that your student will meet. So there would be a discussion. So inside the classroom, we have this classroom management, the policies, the rules and regulations that can, develop the behavior or you can control the attitude of your students inside and especially outside the classroom. So all students are challenged to achieve high expectations, and all students receive the support necessary to meet those expectations. So as what I've said a while ago, that during the discussion, there is what we call the objectives or the goal that nga kailangan i-meet sa atong students at the end of the lesson or the discussion. So of course, you have to practice your student to challenge them to achieve these expectation. And if not, no support necessary. So that's that time that the teacher or the professor will take the responsibility to help, to support, if necessary, for them to achieve the expectation. So of course, you have to, if they are, if wala sila nag-work ani nga strategy, you have to think of an alternative strategy for them to achieve, to meet those expectations. So all you have to do as a teacher is to support if necessary. Next would be the standards of behavior are established and are consistently and equitably enforced for all students. So as what I've said, there is a rules and regulation for you to have a fruitful discussion among your students. There is a good relationship among your students. So class structure provides multiple and varied opportunities for students to experience success. So as what I've said, you don't have to stick to one strategy, but you have to use a multiple strategy or opportunities where you can see or you can observe the mastery of your students, kung asa sila mas nakahibalo, their weaknesses and their strengths towards the success. So next would be the teacher gets to know all the students and uses that knowledge to create meaningful experiences. So there is a positive rapport or relationship between the teacher and the student. Between the teacher and the students and among students in class. So the teacher gets to know all the students, like different giving them different tasks or other activities. So you can test the knowledge of your students. Of course, for them by sharing their ideas, opinions, and experiences, you can get to know these students by their experiences, their background information, where he or she came from. So by that, dili gyud ta easily maka-judge sa usa ka student. So there is a positive or relationship that is very important inside the classroom for the student nga dili sila maulaw nga mangutanan nimo if there is other lesson nga wala sila ka-get. So important yun nga natay relationship sa atong mga estudyante. So creating a positive learning environment begins with the teacher's self-reflection. So it starts with the teacher, continues with planning, and then ongoing and dynamic during the implementation of the curriculum. So as what I've mentioned, that a teacher should be a flexible teacher. So he or she should begin or should have this self-reflection. So it continues with the planning on how to implement the curriculum, the lesson, of course, with various strategies nga iya ang ihatan sa mga students for him or her to know the weaknesses and strengths of his or her students. So maintaining a positive learning environment is a work in progress. You must always consider how to maintain a positive learning environment and must be thoughtful about how the learning environment is perceived by students. So you can see that on the behavior of the students. Diba? So it is very important to maintain a positive learning environment for the students to be able to, get motivated to the things that they wanted to do. And of course, you as a teacher, you have to assist them. You have to help them. So that is your role as a teacher. And of course, they have to kanang gampanan nila ilang role as students. So that's the end of my report. Thank you everyone for watching and listening.